welcome into this edition of Inside Broncbuster Athletics. I'm Mike Pilosof, pleased to be joined by someone who I don't think will sleep probably for the next 6 months, and that is the new head athletic trainer at Garden City Community College, Alli Griffin, joining us. Allie, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've been busy driving, it seems like, the last 24 hours.
No problem. It certainly has felt that way for sure.
First off, how was the drive? There's been rain. There's been monsoons all over the Southwest. How was the drive?
More or less uneventful. I did hit a couple monsoons. I learned that I can drive a 40-foot behemoth of a unit, so I'm pretty pleased with all that.
That surprised you a little bit?
Absolutely. Also surprised me that I could back it up. So all kinds of new things on this trip so far.
Hey,
Just getting here.
You live and learn. All right. Well, we're very pleased, and that's probably underselling it, to have you here. And I'm speaking pretty much for everybody. I like to do that sometimes, but we're glad you're here. We're glad you made it to Garden City safely. And for people that don't know your background, and you and I had a chance to talk just about 2 weeks ago before we actually put the release out and all that. And of course, I learned that you're an Army or a military girl. You grew up in a military family. You lived in Las Vegas for a time, which that's crazy, because Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. I want you to tell people the worst part of town in Las Vegas is probably where Nellis Air Force Base is at.
I would say that's pretty accurate. I think the one thing that you take away from Vegas is stranger danger. So
that's probably your motto. What was that like growing up and moving all around, and not just in the U.S., moving to different countries, different continents?
Honestly, I don't think I would have changed it. I have life experiences that very few people get to say that they've had. My dad is one of the greatest people in my life. He's somebody that I look up to, and the fact that his profession allowed us to do that is something that I admire. But it really was life-changing. You develop the ability to establish yourself very, very quickly, because you don't really know when you're going to be moving next. And so you make friends fast, and you get to go on these crazy adventures and try new cultures. And I wouldn't have changed it. I miss it, honestly.
And to that point, and maybe going a little beyond that, when you say, it's hard because you're in one spot, and then, 2-3 years, maybe if it's even less than that you're moving on. How much did that help in moving to a place like Garden City? Because again, it's a place you haven't been, but there's been a lot of places you went to that you hadn't been before either.
Most definitely. So I think that one of my biggest takeaways from the military is that it's not really about the place, it's about the people. And that's really why I came here. I came here sight unseen, and it's not the first time that I've done that, but I came here with a judge of the people that are here, and I am so looking forward to it, just based on everybody that I've talked to.
People can obviously read your bio. That's the easy part, but I want you to now sell yourself as the head athletic trainer, putting you on the spot on what you do. And I've been in meetings with you, so we're all thoroughly impressed. But for the people that are the outsiders, what does Alli Griffin bring to the table?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, I've told you last time I'm not super good at this part of interviews, but I am incredibly passionate about what it is that I do. I think that I have the coolest job in the world. I think that my history with my family and being in the military has given me some leadership skills. And like I said, I come in and I set expectations, and I let people know what I'm feeling all the time, kind of a thing. And so they're going to get a very straightforward, very passionate, leadership driven person. And I do not sleep. So that is one thing that you had very accurately. I don't sleep very often, but I love what I do, and I'm looking forward to being here.
You worked at Arizona Western for 3 years. You were able to implement certain things. What were you most proud of that you accomplished at Arizona Western?
Wow. I really am proud of how I left the program. I think that the student internship program was left in a really good spot. I've sent 3 or 4 kids up to my alma mater to pursue athletic training. And so I really take education as an important factor in what it is that I do. So I'm super proud of that. I'm really proud of the athletic facility. It was being remodeled as I was leaving, and so I played a big role in that as well. So future generations of athletic trainers that work at Arizona Western are going to get a beautiful facility that makes a lot of sense. And I think I left my mark there. I'm pretty proud to say.
I know you mentioned stranger danger when talking to Las Vegas. That's not the case here, because you do know people here. The minute Coach Tom, the head football coach, and then of course Tiffany, who's the Spirit Squad coach. What kind of a relationship have you guys been able to build over the few years that you were at Arizona Western?
I love the Minix. I worked cheer and dance with Tiffany when they were there, and I loved working with her. I think that she's an incredible coach. Tom, I have nothing but respect for. He and I have shared our differences, and we are still friends. And I think that says a lot about our relationship. So I'm super grateful that they're here. I am so looking forward to working at the school with them again. I think that they bring a culture in and of themselves, and they're just two people.
You know, for people that at career day, when somebody's in high school or junior high and they go out and they see the tent that says athletic trainer, I don't know if people understand what an athletic trainer entails and the amount of work. And we've kind of joked about it, the lack of sleep that athletic trainers get, because you guys are on call really 24/7. How much of a challenge is that? Take us inside the athletic training room.
So you are very much not wrong. A lot of people don't know what it is that we do. A lot of people think that we are personal trainers. And while I am capable of doing that job, it's not really what we do. We're, the first responders in a lot of cases. And so a typical day in the athletic training room is, there's not really a description that can give you. That's one of my favorite parts about this job, is that it's never the same day in and day out. But you get there in the mornings and you are either setting up for practices or doing treatments, rehabilitating injuries from the week prior. Then you go into practices and you are there to monitor them and make sure that everybody is being safe and looking out for heat illnesses and whatever else. And then you do post-practice treatments. And then, gosh forbid something actually happens during a practice or a game setting, and then you're taking care of that at the same time. And then at the end of the day, you're doing all of your documentation, which, depending on how the day has gone, can last quite a few hours. And then it's rinse and repeat. And then, working for those game days. That's what everybody's about.
First of all, we're waiting for a game day to actually happen. I think that's the biggest challenge right now. For a trainer who's coming into a new position now in a time and navigating a landscape that is totally transformed over the last, never mind 12 months, but really the last 4 months with COVID and all these safety precautions, how much has that added to your plate? I know that seems like a loaded question, but it almost has to be, because this isn't the typical, I'm walking in to be the head athletic trainer at Garden City Community College.
So I will say that as awful as the COVID situation is and how difficult it has made planning for our jobs, I think that it's a spectacular time for athletic trainers to step up and show what it is that we're there for. I am really excited that I get to be here hitting the ground running with this. I think that we're going to be able to implement a lot of policies and procedures that are going to keep these kids as safe as possible whenever we do get to actually play. As the head AT, you're doing a lot of admin stuff anyway. And so I think this just kind of falls right into me taking this job title.
When people ask, Allie, how did you get into athletic training? You actually started as an intern at the University of Arizona and then kind of went into your education after that. So take us through your path as far as how and why you chose athletic training.
Well, shout out to Emily Johnson for putting up with me for that year at U of A. But I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know that athletic training was a thing. I went to a high school that did not have an athletic trainer. I was a soccer athlete, and I injured myself my senior year, and I missed my entire season for something that, had we have had an athletic trainer, would have been remedied in a couple of weeks. And so my English teacher actually presented an opportunity for me to go and do this internship, and I fell in love with it with Emily, and then I just decided that was the path, and that was all I was going to pursue. Fortunately, NAU had one of the top 10 programs in the United States. I was one of the last bachelor's classes to go through that program, and was fortunate enough to get in and work with some incredible professors and clinical preceptors while at Flagstaff. And then the rest is history. I've just been working ever since.
Now, you don't have to admit this, but I've been on the I-40 stretch where going from Flagstaff to Phoenix, and I don't know if the flow of traffic, you might be going 105 miles an hour. How many times did you break the speed limit and then some, going Flagstaff and going, I don't know if you traveled into Phoenix, but that's a corridor where everybody's going 100 miles an hour.
I mean, when you're coming down that hill, you were just flying. I used to have a sports car, and I don't think I ever paid attention to the speed limit a single time when I was coming home from college. Driving the 40-foot U-Haul was a much different story, I will tell you that.
I was gonna say, I was hoping you're not driving 100 miles an hour in the U-Haul, but
No.
how unique was it living in Flagstaff? For you could go from Phoenix where it's 100 degrees and then go to Flagstaff and there's snow on the ground.
Yeah. You go to Phoenix and you're getting a tan, and then you drive 2 hours and you're snowing at Snowbowl, or you're skiing at Snowbowl. I mean, it was crazy. Flagstaff is like an enigma inside of Arizona. It's probably my favorite place in Arizona. There's just so much to do. The people are incredible. And obviously it's my alma mater, so I got to represent.
All right. Lastly, you mentioned that your dad was or is someone who you look up to in many different ways. Professionally, who's somebody that you look up to?
Oh gosh, Sharice Kudarev, Emily Johnson for sure. I would say Dr. Glenn Edgerton. A lot of people that I came in contact with through NAU. I think one of the best parts about NAU is that we have our own athletic trainer society for anybody that's affiliated with the athletic training program, and it's something that Mike Nesbitt started at his time. And I know an incredible amount of incredible athletic trainers because of that, and I'm super grateful.
Well, Allie, we appreciate you coming on the show, giving us a few minutes. I know it's a busy weekend for you unpacking, and we're just looking forward to getting you in the office and getting you started. So,
me too. Count down 14 days on this quarantine thing, man, and then I'll be in there.
We're all jealous of the quarantine, right? I'd say vacation, but it's not vacation. So,
not at all. But thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.